No senior discount? Turns out grandparents are shouldering a lot of the U.S.'s student loan debt. The Hustle, Friday, January 13th, 2017. Brought to you by Soothe. Student loan debt sucks for Nana, too. Naturally, most student loan borrowers in the U.S. are young adults. However, the number of older Americans with education loans has quadrupled in the last decade. In fact, according to a new report, Americans aged 60 or older are now the fastest growing group of student loan borrowers, with 2.8 million debtors and $66.7 billion in total student loan debt. $66.7 billion. What happened? Some older people are carrying their own student loans, but more than two-thirds of the debt is owed for children and grandchildren, meaning they either borrowed the money themselves or co-signed loans with the student as the main borrower. To put it another way, soaring tuition costs have combined with Nana's tendency to be the most loving and caring human on the planet to create a pile of debt larger than Uber's current valuation, and it's causing some serious problems. Getting back on track after defaulting on a student loan isn't easy, regardless of age. That being said, at least a 30-year-old with a job has a path to freedom. Meanwhile, a retired 70-year-old is kind of screwed, especially if they rely on Social Security. As a recent analysis by the Government Accountability Office found, these older borrowers have become increasingly subject to deductions from their Social Security payments when they fail to pay federal, not private, student loans. Also, not to pile on the bad news, but here's more. Based on new research from the College Board, remember the SAT? It takes until age 34 to earn back the cost of a U.S. university degree, or to be more specific, the average U.S. bachelor's degree recipient doesn't recoup the cost of obtaining a degree, measured as tuition paid plus wages lost from not being in the workforce for 4 years until age 34. Insert, this is fine, while everything around goes up in flames, dog here. Social media, definitely not fine. Amazon is hiring 100,000 U.S. employees. The company plans to hire over 100,000 people in the next 18 months. That's a whole lot of humans. In fact, it's nearly a 15% increase over last year's new hires, bringing them to over 400,000 employees worldwide by 2018. Amazon says the new positions will encompass a wide range of skill sets and regions, from engineers and software developers to those seeking entry-level positions and on-the-job training. And although they've been hiring an average of 6,400 people a month globally since 2015, not everyone is impressed. Critics say this kind of push fuels mostly low-wage, temporary jobs, and to their point, this is reminiscent of 2015 when Amazon hired 100,000 temporary employees in the U.S. just for the holidays. So, as Fast Company puts it, it may be worth remaining skeptical about the amount of job-creating Amazon will do in the long run. They're also indirectly, if not directly, involved in shuttering traditional retail stores that employ thousands of workers throughout the U.S., Macy's, American Apparel, Ralph Lauren, to name a few. But hey, at least they're trying to make up for it. Social media. Dust off the resume. YouTube now lets fans pay for attention. YouTube is launching a super chat feature within live streams to make more money off of the diehards. Basically, fans can pay money to have their messages highlighted and bumped to the top of the stream, where they'll remain pinned for up to 5 hours. This gives creators another way to make a living from their cat videos and acoustic guitar covers. It's unclear how big of a cut YouTube will take. While also improving the viewing experience. YouTube is tweaking a few other features too. In an attempt to increase exposure for new quality content, the platform just announced that they'll be plugging up-and-coming creators via their On the Rise section. This should help bring some much-needed visibility to YouTube's middle class, who, tragically, still need to support themselves with day jobs, despite having thousands or even hundreds of thousands of followers. It will also help them build a fame pipeline. As established stars like Casey Neistat move on to other projects, it's crucial that YouTube has a steady stream of stars waiting in the wings to keep viewers watching. To that end, pushing some of their precious newbies in front of larger audiences is a pretty strategic move, especially if Bieber 2.0 is already out there, sitting on like 10,000 views. Social media, YouTube, the ultimate stage mom. How to quit your job and how not to. It's a new year, which means at least 43 of you are currently fantasizing about leaving your office forever in a blaze of glory, a la Tom Cruise and Jerry Maguire, or Brian in Half-Baked. While you should probably leave out the blaze of glory part, never a good idea, quitting your job is nothing to be ashamed of, especially if you feel unhappy or unfulfilled. Just make sure you do it the right way. Based on the Harvard Business Review's survey of 300 recently resigned employees and 200 managers of employees who had recently resigned, there are 7 basic ways to say, "I'm out." Let's take a look at each method. By the book. Meeting with a manager, standard 2-week notice period, and an explanation for leaving. Grateful. Employee, who may be leaving reluctantly, knows their departure will cause stress, so they help with finding, training a replacement, etc. In the loop. People in the office are aware of employees' impending departure, including their boss. No element of surprise. Perfunctory. Similar to by the book, except the discussion is shorter and the explanation for leaving is vague. In other words, the employee does the minimum of what's expected, but no more. Avoidant. Instead of telling their manager in person, the employee sends word to HR or pens an email. Soft. Bridge burning. Employee tries to exact some revenge and harm the company, often via verbal assaults. Impulsive. No notice given, just walks out one day or fails to show up, leaving the manager in limbo. Which method is preferred? We'll leave that up to you to decide. After all, everyone has different work experiences, work relationships, and levels of sass. That being said, grateful is clearly the way to go, even if it means swallowing your pride. Also, avoid impulsive or bridge burning at all costs. You never know who you'll end up working with. Plus, when it comes time to do reference checks, it's always nice to have options outside of your boss, aka family friend, from your summer job 5 years ago. Social media. Half-baked, greater than Jerry Maguire. A couple updates from HQ. We're off on Monday, so unfortunately you're going to have to get your news from, like, a newspaper or something. That being said, you'll still receive an email from us on Monday with some pretty exciting news out of the Hustle HQ. Update number 2. Remember when we asked you in Monday's email to recap your weekend and send a selfie? Per usual, tons of you guys responded. Also, per usual, we made a blog post highlighting some responses. Hopefully seeing what your fellow hustlers were up to last weekend gives you some ideas for how you'll spend this one. It's also super interesting to see how people from all different walks of life spend their time. Cheers, y'all. Kendall. Friday shower thoughts. 1. Does my dog know I'm actually driving the car, or does she think I'm just riding along as well? 2. Water is just a portal to a universe where you can fly, but you can't breathe. 3. Cheese seems so much more unhealthy when it's melted. 4. I don't appreciate the fan in the bathroom for being a fan. I appreciate it for being a noisemaker. 5. I would like to thank evolution for not giving mosquitoes the ability to dodge slaps like flies. Via Reddit. This edition of The Hustle is brought to you by Soothe. What's better than catered pad thai? How about an amazing massage delivered right to your office, aka a perk that doesn't make you want to fall asleep at your desk at 2 p.m.? We're not talking about desks made of rich mahogany or other ridiculous employee incentives. We're talking about companies investing in their employees to help them feel relaxed and focused throughout the day, so they can focus on their next awesome project, not their carpal tunnel. Because being stress-free at work isn't a luxury. It's a necessity if you want to be happy and productive. And for less than $25 an employee, Soothe provides spa-quality massages at work from licensed therapists without the luxury price tag. Sign up takes minutes, and you'll leave the office feeling a lot more refreshed than those 5 pounds of catered Thai food. And hey, we know you didn't forward that Soothe email to your boss last week. We get it. Asking for perks takes a little finesse. So we're going to make it easy on you. Just send your boss this video instead. Subtle and effective, just like a Soothe massage. The Hustle. Subscribe, jobs, advertise, ambassadors, events. Kendall, why are flies so agile? Baker. Writer. Lindsay Quinn, homemade soup on a cold day. John Havel, backseat editor. Gingivitis, dental hygienist. You opted in by signing up, entering a giveaway, or through divine intervention. 1381 9th Avenue, San Francisco, California, 94122 in the United States. 415-506-7210. Never want to hear from us again? Break our hearts and unsubscribe.